Late Night with the Devil is directed by Colin Carnes and Cameron Carnes and stars David Dastmalchian and among others. And in this story, it is set on the night of a fictional late night talk show called Late Night Owls, where David's character pretty much invites a girl that's supposedly possessed by the devil, along with pretty much dealing with the behind the scenes of what it goes on with David's character, who's a late night talk show host that is going, while he starts out getting successful in his show and everything. This is basically the night to basically prove himself, to try to get back his ratings for his show. And by bringing on board some interesting guests on his show, he starts to unravel a mystery behind some stuff that's involving with this supposedly possessed girl that's going on. Now, here's a little backstory. Now, this movie, I actually was interested in the last couple months because when I saw the trailers of it, it got me really curious because I was actually really surprised that a movie like this was coming to theaters and getting at least a limited theatrical run, because from what based on the trailers, it seemed like it was going to be one of those 1970s throwbacks where it was filmed in that kind of style and stuff. And in a way, even from the trailers, it was basically like the better version of what we could have got with The Exorcist than whatever we had last year. But just the aesthetics, the production design, and even David, I find myself really fascinated as an underrated actor, and seen him in a lot of different movies that he's played in, especially The Dark Knight, Prisoners, along with other things. The guy is a very versatile actor, and him finally getting a chance to be in his first leading role, maybe not his first, but having a leading role in a horror film like this is definitely something that had me interested from that as well. And so upon seeing the film, I can say that, wow, this movie was fucking great. Like, I was so, shocked, I was disturbed, I was just in awe of how much I saw with this movie, because this just goes to prove that when given the right material, given the right direction, given the right, things to work with, there are still really good, possession horror films that can come out here and there. And I'm so glad that we have one like this, because I think this is probably going to go down as probably the best possession type horror film. Probably, I'd say maybe since Conjuring 2. I was just so really, this blew me away. This was everything that I really wanted to see out of this movie. And to get my pros out of the way, I thought the cast in this were all fantastic. David really proves himself as not only being, a capable leading guy, but, him also having his own kind of storyline that's evolving, where he's not going through his ratings like he was of his show after a while, due to some not scandalous, but some really kind of sketchy stuff that happens behind the scenes, and some other things where you start to learn more about him. And the movie kind of also gives you points at the beginning of where his character goes throughout the film, and you can kind of see that the way it plays along, where he's just so obsessed with trying to keep the show going and everything. It's like it's still trying to keep it, despite any kind of incidents that may happen and stuff, that he's willing to take the risk. I thought it was really great, character arc for him, especially there's something toward the end that I will not go into spoilers at all, but when it happened, I was like, oh, that really threw me off, and I was actually really surprised by that. And I could see why it was foreshadowed earlier in the film. And so he was great, and the rest of the cast is also great too. One of the biggest standouts, surprisingly, is the guy who plays the kind of skeptic magician type guy. I forgot the actor's name, but he actually played in the Matrix Reload and Revolutions as Bane from the original trilogy. So that was actually cool to see him back on a big movie like this again. And he was great, and then just the aesthetics, the production design, the way that it's basically taken place primarily on this show for the entire movie and stuff, really makes it give you that 70s type of vibe and stuff, especially where they play real life footage from stuff that was relevant at the time. And you get to see some behind the scenes stuff that, in a way, it kind of looks like they were going on a Christopher Nolan type of route, where it switches to black and white, or like how some directors, they'll shoot in black and white in certain scenes. But just the way that it plays it out like that, I thought was really interesting, with the contrast with how it's colorful on the TV set. I think that was kind of like a symbolic thing too, because how when it's black and white, it's getting to more of the emptiness and kind of absence of color, and then when it's on the television parts, it's actually in color, where everything's all lively. So I thought that was a really great contrast, just the way it was kind of going for it. But that was great, and then just the way that the movie goes into the whole disturbing level with some stuff that really builds tension and everything. It really caught me off guard, and there's some really big stuff that happens in this film that if you kind of get from the trailers, you kind of see where it plays out, but the way that it was timed and everything, it really had me on the edge of my seat, where I didn't know where it was going. And toward the end, when the shit really hits the fan, it gets really insane to the point that my jaw was like dropping like crazy. Like, there's just so much that this movie does right with having to put you on that very, immersive level. Because it does go by at a very fast pace because it is only 90 minutes, but it keeps me engaged throughout because it makes me really wondering like where this is going and stuff. And I've heard a lot of comparisons with something like this could be with another movie that came out in the 70s like that called Network. I haven't seen all of Network, but from what I have seen, I can definitely see the similarities with that, in that film too also dealt with a guy who was having to boost raids and stuff, and he comes up with like the most craziest ideas where he's trying to get people to fall as basically like a cult leader and stuff. And that does kind of have a similarity with this one too and everything. So I thought that I could definitely see this as a kind of a double feature with that film. Unlike if you want like an alternative Network, but I still need to fully check out Network one of these days and and watch it in all of its entirety. But the score and everything, just the way that they were able to also make it to where it's kind of shot in like a 4:3 aspect ratio, kind of like the old TVs and stuff, where it's all condensed, where you can see the black bars on the side. I thought was really good. If I did have kind of like one minor nitpick, it would be if they were going to go for more of a 70s type of vibe where they're doing the whole, when they cut to commercials and stuff, it would have been interesting if they could have made some like fake commercials or something like that to kind of like rent out more of the more grounded feel that they were going for. Because I think that was kind of a missed opportunity, but I can't complain because they probably wanted to just focus on more of the stuff that was involved with the actual television show itself. So that's really like my own kind of minor nitpick I would have. And yeah, there's also some that happens toward the end that I did kind of question the way it kind of plays out just a little bit because of some of the rules that they kind of set up with the possession and stuff. But that I can really still buy it because it's still, the way it played out, it did have a great payoff. And so with that being said, this movie has little or no flaws for me, and it's definitely everything that I really want to see out of. And it's going to be on one of my favorites. It's going to be on one of my best of the year. And so with that, I'm going to give the movie a phenomenal grade on the Film Freaks meter. So for those of you who have also seen Late Night with the Devil, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.